We are San Diego Comic-Con. We are at the PCS booth. We are with Mark. So Mark, can you introduce us what you bring to this event?
Absolutely. Hi everybody. So the showstopper this year, we always try to bring one piece that's amazing, is the Ultimate Warrior. This is the piece that everyone's been stopping, taking lots of pictures of, licensed through WWE. This guy is iconic. He's the quintessential wrestler of that era. And this is the very first statue in a new line that's going to include all the classics. Ric Flair is on the list, Stone Cold Steve Austin. We're going to touch on all of them in quarter scale, and we're also going to be doing them in 1/3 scale as well. So this is a brand new product, only seen here at Comic-Con. One of the other big lines that we're doing, that we just launched, is the G.I. Joe line, and the first piece is going to be Storm Shadow. So this to me is interesting. This took a long time to get to this stage, because PCS over the last 5-6 years has really been known for capturing the nostalgia of a period of time, and we usually focus on the late 80s, early 90s. We did the Masters of the Universe line in Filmation style, which I love personally. It reminds me of the cartoon that I watched as a kid. So when we decided to do a G.I. Joe line, there's a lot of competition out there. There's Prime One that's doing some stuff. There's other companies doing G.I. Joe, and they're all reimagined. I look at the Prime One stuff, and it's not what I remember as a kid. So we decided to do G.I. Joe, but we decided to do it in the cartoon style. Now, the first iteration of Storm Shadow came out, and it was pretty good. It represented the cartoon. It was like you reached inside the cartoon and put the character on your desk. But we thought it was just too much, too cartoony. So we went back to the drawing board, and we touched it up, gave it a more realistic look, and this is the finished product. I feel like we nailed it as far as a balance between realism and then the nostalgia factor. It's hard to tell with it being unpainted still, but it really has that classic look, but in a style that fits into everybody's collection nowadays. So we're really proud of that. We'll go back in a second, look at some of the concept art for the next pieces. Snake Eyes is going to be the next one we do. And I think that also captures that old school feel. Moving over a little tiny bit, if you guys can get into Slain.
Oh, no, actually. Sorry.
This is a really special piece. This was designed and sculpted by ZBrush master Caleb Nefsen. And this piece was given to us digitally close to 2 years ago, about a year and a half ago. And it took us about a year to engineer how this thing would be translated into statue form. One of the coolest factors, I think, is the balancing point on this statue. The foot fits into a really skinny part of the base, and all of that weight of that character is on a rod that goes into the base in that one spot. Now, we ran into problems with the character wanting to lean forward, so what we did was we added more weight in the cape, and the cape actually counterbalances the character perfectly. So from an engineering standpoint, it's phenomenal, and then from an art standpoint, it speaks for itself. It's an amazing piece. So we're really proud of that one. Let's go see Street Fighter. That's what everyone wants to see, right? So this is our new lineup for Street Fighter. Just a couple of pieces. There's more stuff in the works. But Ryu, and I should tell everyone a quick little story about Ryu. This is part of the Ultra line. The Ultra line was started about 4 years ago now with the Vega Ultra. And all of the Ultras have something in common. They all have a rounded base, and they all have a very dynamic feel. It captures the pose of the character in mid-fight. And the other interesting fact that not many people know about the Ultra line, is that every single Ultra statue, with the exception of Ryu, is on 1 foot. So we had to make a really hard decision with Ryu to not put him on 1 foot. But I think the end result is fantastic. And you can kind of cheat a little bit. You can kind of imagine that his front foot hasn't come down all the way yet, and he's just on his back foot. But I think that the final product is phenomenal, and people really have responded well to it. We also have Sakura debuting today. This is a fan favorite character. She's in her classic outfit as well as her gi. And this continues a line of statues from Street Fighter that started a little over 10 years ago now with the 1/4 scale Akuma mixed media statue that kind of started it all for PCS. So this line is 10 years old, and it's about time we released one of the more popular characters. The last thing that we're debuting, and this isn't even really a true debut, but this is a fine-tuning of the 1/6 scale line. The first statue, or the first action figure, is Akuma, and we're going to be releasing him with his Shin Akuma variation, followed by Ryu and Ken. And we're really proud of the sculpt of these. This is there's other companies that are doing smaller scale action figures from Street Fighter, but this combines what everyone knows of PCS, which is our sculpts and our design, with full articulation and the ability to really create those fight scenes that you see in the game. So this is going to be this is one of my favorite pieces in the entire show. It's the smallest piece, but it speaks volumes. Let's go over and look at some concept art. So this is our concept art wall, and these are products that are in various stages of production currently. We'll start with the turtles. So we recently released the first in the turtle line, which is Raphael, and these are the next three. So Michelangelo, Leonardo, and of course Donatello. These are done based upon the original cartoon of the 80s, with paint schemes that look like you pulled it right out of the cartoon. These are going to be released consecutively over the next year, and so people will be able to collect them all. We get asked a lot about the villains: Shredder, Bebop, Rocksteady. So we can't say anything here, but it's a definite maybe. I mentioned when we were looking at Storm Shadow, Snake Eyes is next. This is one of my favorite. I would put this on my wall and put it on display, just the concept art. I think we nailed it again with the balance between the cartoon and a more realistic approach. Everyone's really digging that one, and I think that it's going to come out great. Along with Baroness. One of the things that Baroness has to be is hot, but badass at the same time, and that just screams those two qualities to me. This one is going to be great. This is Megatron, and if anybody's seen our new Transformers line, we started with a classic scale Optimus Prime, and this is done in a film cell paint scheme. So again, it looks like you're pulling it right out of the TV and putting it on your desk. This is going to be a 1/4 scale version of that design. So it's our first. It's going to be, excuse me, our first 1/4 scale Transformer is going to be Starscream, which he was supposed to be here but couldn't make it. He had another engagement, but that's going to be the second one, and that's the one I'm most excited about. And last, but certainly not least, our Dungeons and Dragons line will continue. Venger was the first, released a few months back, and the next one will be Presto and the Dungeon Master, so you basically get 2 characters in one statue, followed closely behind by Warduke, which is a fan favorite. If you ever watched the cartoon as a kid, you'll absolutely remember Warduke. So that's what we got coming up. I know it's a lot, but we've got our work cut out for us for the next year.